Live from Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. It's carnival-like atmosphere across Nigeria as President Tinubu calls Nigerians to unity at Christmas. Explosion rocks Maiduguri Mosque as worshippers scamper for safety during Maghrib prayers. Rescue efforts underway in Lagos Island as Greater Nigeria Insurance building is engulfed in flames. Leaders of Alliance of Sahel States meet in Burkina Faso as part of steps towards regional autonomy.
In business, crude oil price steady as Venezuela and Russia risk clash with weak annual outlook.
And in sports, reigning champions, the Ivory Coast begin their title defense with a narrow win over the Mambas of Mozambique at the Africa Cup of Nations. Details later.
We'll begin tonight with the Christmas message by President Bola Tinubu, who has renewed his commitment to protecting religious freedom across Nigeria. He assures citizens that his administration will safeguard people of all faiths from violence and discrimination. Tinubu made this remark in his 2025 Christmas goodwill message delivered on Wednesday. The president also emphasized that all Nigerians have a constitutional right to live peacefully, practice their faith freely, and pursue their aspirations without fear, adding that every citizen, regardless of religion or ethnic background, deserves safety, dignity, and equal protection under the law. The president also prayed for peace across the country, especially among people of different religious beliefs. Let's cross live now to our correspondent, Sage Ibrahim in Abuja and Mono Balagbogo in Lokoja, Kogi. Gentlemen, tell us about what is happening around you. What's the atmosphere like? Let's start with you, Mono.
Good evening, Felicity. The atmosphere is joyful. It is peaceful. Condolence goes to those who lost their lives in Borno State. Very sad. But right here in Lokoja, you could just feel the excitement, especially when you are standing beside a very beautiful Christmas decoration, which is just beside me. There's another one just over there. That's the roundabout. We are at the NPA Lokoja roundabout, which is not very far from the government house in Lokoja. There's another one also there, which is a Christmas tree. There's another Christmas tree that is just by my left, which has white and blue colors. Also, in some other specific points across the state capital, there are Christmas decorations. And I've been speaking to residents in the state, and they are so excited. Even Muslims, they were here, to take pictures with their families, with their children, and it's just all about the season of love, the season of giving, the season of caring. I was speaking to a young lady who was talking about the fact that this is the time you meet with your friends and your schoolmates. It's a time to bond after working, and then you come back for holiday. So right here from the historic city of Lokoja, I can tell you that people are so excited. They can't wait for that moment, 12 midnight tonight, and then we can all say officially Merry Christmas. So I'm saying Merry Christmas in advance to you, Felicity. Back to you.
Mono, Merry Christmas. But I'm not done with you yet. I want you to tell us beyond the beauty. I mean, we can see it from here in Lagos. Beyond the beauty, what does this festive lighting mean for the city at this time?
It means a whole lot. And one thing that is very significant with light, it brightens, it takes away the darkness. And that is what residents are resonating today. That this, it tells a different story of Lokoja. Another man who came here with his daughter, we spoke to her a while ago. Hopefully you get to see him in the report I will be filing in later tomorrow. And he talked about the fact that the last time that we saw lights like this, brightening up the city, causing the city to glow, was during the Prince Abubakar administration. But of course, it is beautiful. As a resident of Kogi State, I've been here in this particular city for so many years. I had my primary school here. I had my secondary school here. I also had my university education right here in Kogi State. I can tell you, it's not every time you get to see places, look so beautiful and you're wondering, okay, am I in New York or am I in Lagos or even Abuja? Residents are really happy about this. It brings, especially for the youths, who love to vibe, who love, the glitz and the glamour of society. They seem to really be excited about this development. So it's all about the light driving away the darkness, away from all the insecurity that we have been covering in the state, where we've seen some persons lose their lives and some communities really troubled by insecurity. I must tell you, Felicity, honestly speaking, that it is something that, brings joy to my heart to just see people smile. Whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whatever your
it's a time that certainly brings people closer. There's still so much, bad things happening, but we could take a moment and enjoy what is available. Thank you very much, Mono, for speaking with us.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas in advance.
Merry Christmas again. Now, the Nigerian Bar Association and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar have called for the immediate suspension of the newly enacted Tax Reform Acts, citing alleged post-legislative alterations. NBA President Mazi Afamosigwe said the purported changes undermine legislative transparency and could erode public confidence in Nigeria's lawmaking process. He urged a full open investigation before the laws are implemented. Atiku Abubakar alleged that the executive inserted coercive enforcement powers, increased financial obligations, and removed key accountability measures without parliamentary approval. He warned that such actions threaten legislative supremacy and urged that citizens be empowered to generate revenue through productivity, especially as unemployment remains alarmingly high. Meanwhile, former Senate leader Ali Ndume has asked President Bola Tinubu to suspend the new reform laws, citing claims they were altered after legislative approval. In a statement from Abuja on Wednesday, Ndume called for an ad hoc committee to probe the allegations. His call comes as opposition figures and civil society groups, including the Nigerian Bar Association, also demand a full and transparent inquiry. Ndume warned that pushing ahead with the reforms while the claims remain unresolved could erode public trust and weaken the legitimacy of the lawmaking process. Let's get some thoughts on this. Sulaiman Abdullahi is a legal practitioner with proficiency in tax. He joins me now from our Abuja studio for this conversation. Thank you for being here. Former Vice President Abubakar has made a very far-reaching claims regarding the alleged alteration of the tax reform laws after they were passed. Does the evidence at your disposal suggest that there is truth indeed in these allegations?
Thank you, and good evening, Felicity. And good evening, Nigerians. Let me correct an impression. It was not Atiku Abubakar that made the allegation. The allegation came from a member of the National Assembly, specifically the House of Representatives. As it is currently, it remains an allegation, but coming from a member of the National Assembly who participated in all the process of the bill to its passage and to the transmission to the President before the President assented the bill into law and gazetted. And what he is alleging is that the gazetted version is different from what the National Assembly agrees. And by implication, the National Assembly has transmitted what they have deliberated on in using all the process of your legislative process of lawmaking. So the allegation is not coming from Atiku Abubakar. However, that is a position which I wish to clarify.
Yeah, that was very important. Thank you very much for doing that. It did come from a member of the House, but we know that the NBA is in on it. We're just speaking on Abubakar because is the most recent reaction to it, and he is using weighty words.
Well, no one is happy about the development. I can see as a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, I am here to speak on it because this allegation is fundamental to our constitutional making process. And as such, it should be taken with such seriousness. It calls for national concern. We appreciate everybody who voiced on this. And we are going to say that the alteration to the bill passed by the National Assembly is a weighty allegation. And I'm happy to say that the National Assembly has already set up an AFCON committee to investigate
but
this.
Isn't it worrisome that, I mean, I'm speaking plainly for us, an ordinary Nigerian here. Isn't it worrisome that a law that was just newly minted is now going to be investigated by the same people that put it together? Isn't it something that could have just been taken up on the floor of the House? Isn't there a better way to address this matter? How long do we have to wait? And is it possible that that deadline for implementation is still feasible?
It's sad for the entire nation. And I think in our recent time, this is so awkward. We've never heard where the National Assembly has passed a law to the president and assented to it, and later on come to say that what the president has gazetted as this, the assented one is different from what we passed. This is really sad, and it is disturbing. So I think it affects the timeline of implementation. And of course, I support the Nigeria Bar Association and anybody that calls for the suspension of the implementation, because we need to get to the root of it. The alteration to a bill passed by National Assembly is fundamental, and it's not something that we have to just look over.
Okay, should we just wait for the House to come up with a response from their investigation, or we should give them a mandate? Can the people do that? Say, within this period of time, you want to investigate whether these allegations are true. When can we get a response? Is it in 2 days? Is it in 5 days? Is there a timeline?
Well, I think I don't have the terms of the AFCON committee work anyway. But what I can tell you is that the National Assembly is already investigating this matter, and I think that it is very appropriate for the presidency, since they have made some clarification. It's an allegation, but it goes to the root of a law that is going to affect ordinary Nigerians. And as such, I support the call by the Nigerian Bar Association and anybody to suspend the implementation for the moment.
Involved in the process, what was they were speaking about here, so I lost my train of thought. I just wanted you to speak to the fact that can Nigerians give a deadline? In 20 seconds, you can answer that. Can we say we want this report of your investigation in 1 week or in 2 weeks or in 1 month?
The National Assembly needs to protect itself. They need to urgently revert back to Nigeria on their investigation. It should be as swift as possible. Today, tomorrow, I think that is even more than enough. Because this is not anything that the peculiarities is not unknown to the public. The
all right, Suleiman, thank you.
Still look at what they have.
Thank you very much for obliging us tonight.
Thank you so much for listening.
Coming up, renowned author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie debunks UNN appointment. That's after the break. On assuming office in 2023, President Bola Tinubu pledged to ensure a zero-tolerance approach to combating corruption in Nigeria. Now, 2 years down the line, the nation's anti-graft fight has shown both progress and persistent challenges. The Transparency International latest ranking of Nigeria's performance in the Corruption Perception Index scored scored Nigeria 26 out of 100, ranking 140th globally. Marginal improvement in 2024. News Centro's State House correspondent Bettina Uweli has more.
EFCC. More than $500 million worth of assets were recovered last year, alongside 4,000 convictions, one of the agency's best records in recent years.
The administration has been fighting corruption in so many areas through systems and structures. If you remember, when the president came, he removed the fuel subsidy and unified the naira. These are two areas where we have the mega corruption. The racket you see in the energy sector is through that subsidy, so-called subsidy that does not impact on the people. The same thing with the unification of naira when people were abusing the foreign exchange. This society cannot deliver on the promise to the people if structures and systems cannot be predicted by all hardworking Nigerians. The minute your success or your progress will depend on somebody rather than system, then there's a corruption in the system. Then we are also open up, we are open to reviews. We're open to criticism as well.
A major milestone came in October 2025 when Nigeria was officially removed from the Financial Action Task Force grey list, marking international recognition of its financial reforms and anti-money laundering efforts.
There is corruption in the monetary system. She has dealt with that, and I can tell you conclusively, because arbitrage opportunity, and what's that? Somebody buys currency at this and then sells it the other way, and then without even moving an inch, he's made money, and then all kinds of things. So he's done well there. So he's got it, and then he's under, there's a big, strong handle on those.
In 2025, the Tinubu administration rolled out new transparency frameworks, including the proceeds of crime regulations and digital tracking systems to curb fund diversion and enhance accountability. Yet, despite policy milestones, public sentiment remains cautious. A Chatham House survey found that 61% of Nigerians still believe judges are likely to accept bribes, highlighting weak judicial confidence and the persistence of institutional mistrust.
For me, under this administration, it's almost the same, if not even worse, compared to the last administration.
It's always make me to laugh when anybody says there is an improvement in corruption in Nigeria. Like, in my own view or in my own assessment, it's become worse than what it is before.
We've heard of the EFCC picking one or two. They can't pick everybody, but at least they pick one or two. We know of ex-governors, ex-VIPs.
Analysts warn that selective prosecutions, weak judicial reforms, and opaque procurement systems continue to hinder deeper impacts.
Government has improved significantly in the fight against corruption. But in the sphere of public finance management, I have a challenge. And my challenge is that we have a law, second only to Brazil, and it's called Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007. Now that law prevents government spends billions of dollars, naira, fighting corruption, when you have a law that actually stops civil and public servants from touching a naira of public money. But the problem is that we are not implementing that law to the fullest.
As Nigeria moves into 2026, the government is betting on digital transparency tools, stricter asset declarations, and judicial reforms to drive real change. But the question remains, will these policies shift perception and deliver justice that citizens can truly trust? In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Uweli.
Pertinent questions there, Bettina. Let's see if we can get some perspective. We have two legal practitioners joining for this conversation, Malaki Ugumadu and Abdulkarim Musa. Thank you very much for being here to speak on anti-corruption efforts of this administration. One of the respondents in that report by my colleague, I'll start with you, Abdulkarim. One of the respondents in that report says fight against corruption has become worse. But we know that some major figures have been arraigned, the latest of them being the former Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. Let's start from there. Do we have a sense of the war against corruption taking place and that the society is going to be better sanitized in 2026, or was it sanitized at all in 2025?
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Now, straight up to your question, you see, my position is that there is no war against corruption. If there is anything, there is even an enablement of corruption under this administration. And concerning the prosecution of the former Attorney General, the Minister for Justice, this is selective prosecution. There are a lot of issues that a lot of people who have been indicted for several corrupt practices, and the AFCC has not gone after them even for one day. So there is no war against corruption. There is selective prosecution for political benefits and interests. I can see the prosecution that is ongoing as a witch hunt of opposition elements. And in a general overview, talking about an assessment of whether this government has tackled corruption or is putting any measure in place to fight or battle corruption, I insist that this government has not done anything to fight corruption. They are in fact enabling corruption. What was the first thing that President Tinubu did when he came to office? He removed subsidy, and upon removing subsidy, he said that the corruption in the system of the entire subsidy thing was too much, that there were few persons benefiting, and that the monies that were removed from subsidy would be diverted towards ameliorating the hardship that the removal of subsidy would cause on Nigerians. But upon removing subsidy, fuel jumped from 200 naira to about 1,000 naira, and Nigerians have not benefited anything from that money that was removed from subsidy, which is the only common patrimony that Nigerians enjoy.
All right, let's take
the removal of...
I'm sorry to interject. This is, we usually have very short time here. Malaki, Abdul Karim says enablement, that this administration in 2025 has enabled corruption. Is that a perception you agree with, or would you give them some kudos in this fight?
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. The compliments of the season to
compliments, sir.
All your viewers. I think I am invited to give my own view and not to repudiate or collaborate somebody else's view. My take is that of the character of the state we find ourselves, the nature of the issue we are discussing, but by far more important, the contradiction inherent in agencies of government fighting corruption. I'm not sure you have the time for full elaboration on my last point, but here is the much we can take. Corruption index in Africa and the sub-region has shown that the greatest culprit is government and agencies of government itself. And so once the same government commissions and institutes a body to fight that corruption, you cannot maximize the results or the outcomes. That is what I mean by the contradiction inherent in having an agency of government fighting corruption. But be that as it may, you could see quite a number of efforts here and there. But there's also the question of the perception you alluded to. In fact, President Muhammadu Buhari enjoyed more perception in relation to the hopes of the Nigerians to be able to fight corruption other than this government. I mean, this present president. And if you're going to proceed from that angle, you will see the deficit level already as a as a backlog, as a minus on their own part. But you know, what we have is what we have, and that is that with respect to the campaign and the fight against corruption, we have the institutions, the EFCC, the ICPC, the Bureau of Public, and even the police. The police. In fact, we have an agency, we have a department in the police specifically dedicated to the fight against fraud, special fraud unit, and so on and so forth. where the problem lies.
Get you to expand. I'm sorry to interrupt. I would have loved to get you to expand a little on, what you really mean when you say agents of government fighting corruption, if I got you right, because these are legal entities enabled in the law. But quickly, if you can, I'm told we're out of time, but Abdul Karim, I'd like you to speak to what The Economist in the report by my colleague put up earlier, saying that Tinubu has dealt a bit with corruption in the monetary sector. In 30 seconds, if you can, you said anti-corruption isn't so great. That was your initial opening. But what would you say about the monetary sector, the economy?
Constraint for time, I'll just simply say that in analyzing whether the economic state of a country has developed, what you should consider is the livelihood of the people. So the simple question is, has the livelihood of Nigerians improved from what it was, or has it gotten worse? Insofar as the livelihood of Nigerians has not gotten better, the president cannot claim that he has made reasonable development in the economic sector.
Okay, I want to ask you a question, Malaki. The administration is open to reviews and suggestions. That's what an aide to the president said. Voila. Do you see this administration in 2025 listening to reviews on their policies in the fight against corruption? In 30 seconds, please.
To the extent that there were a couple of flip-flops, reversal of decisions, return to status quo, and some other times there were outright rejection. You could say yes, they were listening. The issue is whether what they listened to led to a reform that is not just desirable, but enough to turn around the loss of the Nigerian people. I'm afraid we didn't go too far. But I think that if we sustain the tempo, if the civil society component of the Nigerian society is able to beef up what it is as a check, an oversight on the government, chances are that we might be able to record some measurable improvement. But by and large, the ball lies squarely in the courts of the government.
Gentlemen, thank you for speaking with us.
A pleasure.
Still ahead, Algeria seeks compensation from colonial master France. Details when we return. An undisclosed number of worshippers were killed following an explosive device that went off inside a mosque at Gamboru Market in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State. News Center's Umaru Kirawa reports that the explosion occurred during evening prayers, causing panic among worshippers and traders in the crowded market area. Although the exact number of casualties has not been ascertained, people go about their activities in the area as affected persons are taken to hospital. News Center's Umaru Kirawa joins in now to give us the situation report. Umar, tell us what the situation is right now. Has there been any response from the government? Is the place calmer?
Well, for now, I am at the State Specialist Hospital, Maiduguri, one of the hospitals where casualties are brought for medical care. And the police public relations officer, Kenneth Nahom Daso, is here alongside with us, and he confirmed that 5 persons are dead and 35 have been injured severely, and they are responding to treatment. However, there is serious rumor going about that there has been curfew has been imposed in Maiduguri. I asked him, and he said there's nothing like curfew for now, and that Christians should come out and exercise the celebration of the Eve, the Christmas tomorrow, but they should be cautious of security and they should celebrate without any fear. But however, 5 persons have been confirmed dead, 35 severely injured, and in fact, it looks like they are bringing more persons. The ambulances are here.
Mara, thank you for that update. Quite unfortunate on Christmas Eve. Thank you. To another emergency, a fire has broke out on Lagos Island at the multi-story Great Nigeria Insurance House commercial building on Martin Street. The Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service says it received a distress call at exactly 4:41 p.m. and that fire crews have already responded to the emergency. The fire reportedly started on the 5th floor of the 25-story building and has since spread downward from that level. The structure is mainly used as a warehouse for clothing materials, with corporate offices and a few retail shops also operating in the building. Officials confirmed that no casualty have been recorded as firefighting efforts continue.
Gamboru Market, Lagos Island. Firefighters, see them all. I don't even know what they are doing now. See them. See them. I don't know what they are doing there. I don't know. We are not close
to a denial now. Award-winning author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie has denied accepting any visiting professorship at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Earlier, the university announced that it had appointed Adiche, an African Development Bank economist, Kevin Urama, as visiting professors, saying the offers were conveyed in letters dated December 18 and signed by the university's vice-chancellor. UNN officials said Adichie's appointment would boost teaching and mentorship in the arts and humanities. However, Adichie's media aide, Omawumi Ogbe, said on Wednesday that the writer never received such a letter and described the claim as false. CBIT Industries Limited has officially entered Nigeria's competitive e-commerce space with the launch of Bitmart.com, an online shopping platform designed to reshape how Africans buy and sell online. News Central's correspondent Israel Eferobo reports.
The unveiling took place at the Civic Centre in Victoria Island, Lagos, drawing industry players, partners and tech enthusiasts. The company says Bitmart.com is built to restore convenience, reliability and trust in online shopping.
Bitmart.com, I would say, is an online shopping mall and it's also an online merchandiser. So as a shopping mall, we aggregate so many merchants to be able to build their own branded store and trade on Bitmart. As a merchandiser, we also merchandise a number of unique products. Like I mentioned, the Zelensky and Rosen products, we are the sole merchandiser of this product across Africa, and you can only find it on Bitmart.
Cibit Industry says the platform offers seamless access to a wide range of products supported by technology-driven logistics and customer-focused solutions tailored to the African market.
You're going to be able to find precisely what you need at one touch point. So, that's where the beauty of aggregation of merchants comes as compared to going to social media and you're browsing and browsing until you get there. So we're just going to culminate all those merchants in one place and the buyers can find them there. You can have multiple faces of your business, right? So Bitmart is going to be an additional one, and then, we give you exposure to a crop of customers that you probably didn't have before. Get a refund.
With Africa's digital economy expanding rapidly, the company believes Bitmart.com positions itself to play a significant role in the continent's e-commerce growth.
Part of the concerns people have when they go on an e-commerce platform is to say, supposing what I get is not what I wanted. Supposing there was a mistake, what happens to my money? So we ensure that the buyer's money is safe with us until the buyer says, I have received what I ordered, I'm happy with it, please go ahead and make and close the sale. So an order remains an order until a buyer has received what we call their unique delivery code, and they enter the code on the delivery agent's URL. Only then we say that a sale has been made.
It's going to be a fair playing ground.
Cibit Industry says Bitmart.com is now live and ready to serve shoppers as it sets its sights on becoming a major player in Africa's evolving digital marketplace. In Lagos, for News Central, Israel Eferobo.
Thank you for the report, Israel. Algeria's Parliament has unanimously approved a law declaring France's colonization of the country a crime, demanding an official apology and reparations. Lawmakers stood and chanted, "Long live Algeria," wearing scarves in the national colors as the bill passed. The legislation says France bears legal responsibility for its colonial rule and the suffering it caused, listing the alleged crimes including nuclear tests, extrajudicial killings, torture, and the systematic plundering of resources. Leaders of the Sahel Alliance are meeting in Bamako as the bloc takes further steps away from the West African regional body ECOWAS. Military heads from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are holding a high-level summit in Bamako focused on security, development, and regional cooperation. The Alliance of the Sahel States, known as AES, is pressing ahead with its push for regional autonomy. The summit is focused on strengthening cooperation within the alliance. Tonight returns with business, sports, and entertainment news. Just stay with us.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
Talking business now, oil prices were little change on Wednesday as investors balanced strong U.S. economic data against supply disruption risks from Venezuela, Russia, and Ukraine. Brent crude slipped to about $62 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate hovered nearly around $58, with both contracts up roughly 6% since mid-December after hitting 5-year lows. Analysts cited thin holiday trading, position squaring, and geopolitical tensions, including U.S. action against Venezuelan oil shipments. But I'll tell you that Nigeria's electricity supply is expected to improve within 24 to 48 hours following a sharp drop caused by the explosion on the Escravos Lagos gas pipeline, according to the Nigerian Independent System Operator. The incident disrupted gas supply to several gas-fired power plants, reducing generation capacity on the national grid and leading to power shortages nationwide. NISO said repair works by the Nigerian Gas Processing and Transportation Company, a subsidiary of NNPC Limited, are nearing completion. Now, trading on the NGX closed marginally higher, with the all-share index up 0.12% to 153,539.83 points, lifting market capitalization to about 97.89 trillion naira, while the modest gain reflected selective buy-in rather than a broad-based rally. We now look at the sectoral performance, even as we start with the banking sector that led the market with 1.72% gain, supported by renewed interest in Tier 1 stocks, which helped offset weakness seen in other sectors. Now, insurance declined 1.47% as sell pressure persisted on counters like ICO and mutual benefits. Oil and gas closed slightly positive 0.02%, reflecting a relatively flat session. Our consumer goods advanced 1.5%, buoyed by gains in heavyweights, while industrial goods edged up 0.05%, showing mild support in cement stocks, though overall activity in the sector remains slightly subdued. That's it on business. I am Lekon Onabanjo.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to sports. Manchester United winger Amad Diallo scored the only goal of the match as the reigning African champions Côte d'Ivoire began their title defense with a narrow 1-0 win over the Mambas of Mozambique in a Group F clash. Diallo fired home a rebound into the bottom left corner after the ball broke to him in the box just 4 minutes into the second half. Elsewhere, Riyad Mahrez became Algeria's all-time leading Africa Cup of Nations goal scorer, scoring a brace to help secure a comfortable 3-0 win over 10-man Sudan in their Group E opener. Mahrez broke the deadlock in just the second minute, his 7th AFCON goal, moving one clear of Lakhdar Belloumi. He then scored his second in the 61st minute before Ibrahim Maza put the game to bed in the 85th minute. And results from other matches, Burkina Faso overcame a huge scare, conceding an 85th minute goal to go to 10-man Equatorial Guinea, but equalized in the 95th minute through Georgie Mingungu, and then scored a 98th minute winner through Edmond Tapsoba to earn a remarkable win. Elsewhere, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon are currently facing Gabon. It's half-time now, and it's 1-0 to Cameroon, who scored in the 6th minute through Carl Etta Eyong. Now let's cross to Marrakesh in Morocco, where News Central sports correspondent Udoka Ojukwu is standing by to provide updates from match day 2 of the AFCON tournament. Udoka, thank you so much for joining us again. Well, speak to us about the events of match day 3 so far. But before you get to that, can you give us any idea, any inkling behind what's going on in the camp of the Super Eagles today?
Thank you very much for having me today. And for today, of course, Super Eagles had a recovery training after that 2-1 victory over Tanzania. And the Super Eagles are really getting used to the weather. So that's practically the updates. They had a recovery training, and it was about 15 minutes open to the press. We were not able to talk to any player. Just look at the training, take a picture or video of what you can, and leave. But of course, we had games across the different groups. Ivory Coast came in a 1-0 victory, their own game. It was a slim victory for Ivory Coast against Zambia. It just shows you that there are no more winners in football. And currently ongoing, we were just watching that game a couple of minutes ago. It's halftime now. Ngomo provided the assist in Cameroon's only goal against Gabon. Now, coincidentally, I was out today talking to a few fans who are spending their Christmas here in Fez, Morocco, and I met a Cameroonian fan. He said that he's going back home to spend Christmas with his family. I also asked him about the confusion in the Cameroon national team, having to have 2 coaches, 2 team lists, and he said, look, he hopes that Cameroon makes it all the way to the final, but that confusion will be what will lead them, what will help them progress all the way in the tournament. It's just left for us to see.
Sorry, Doc, I'm really sorry to cut you short. We'll be having more updates from you in just a few minutes on Game On, but it's back to Felicity with more on the news.
Thank you, Tunde. We told you earlier that a fire emergency is currently on the Lagos Island at the multi-story Great Nigeria Insurance House commercial building on Martin Street. We're now crossing live to our colleague Israel Iferobo, who is at the site of the fire incident. Efe, what updates do you have for us? Okay, you can see the fire truck behind. It seems maybe the situation has been brought a bit under control, but we're trying to establish connection with Israel to see what is happening. Israel, if you can hear me, I'd love you to give us an update on what you found at the site.
Turn the light. Eh? Turn the light on me.
Well, sadly, a few hours ago at about 4 o'clock, we had this distress call coming through from Martin Street here on Lagos Island, where the Great Nigeria Insurance House is currently on fire. And as you can see, just right behind me, it's a very, very tall building. I really cannot ascertain the number of floors on this particular building right now, but as you can see, the entire stretch of the building is currently engulfed in flames. This, we understand, started at about 4 p.m. earlier today from one of the floors. The cause of this fire incident we cannot ascertain at this point in time, but sadly, This building, we understand, is more of a warehouse for the traders here on Lagos Island, and they sell a lot of goods worth millions and millions of naira. And to think about the fact that this is happening on Christmas Eve is indeed a huge loss to all these traders here on Lagos Island. And when you speak of Lagos Island, this is again coming just about 3 months, sometime in September. There was also another fire outbreak here on Lagos Island that also affected traders, and this is yet again another fire, this particular one even much more worse than the one that happened in September. The whole building is engulfed in flames. It is indeed a very, very pitiful sight for these traders here. For some of them here, they're trying to salvage the goods that they can, but indeed all their effort is to no avail as the fire has indeed engulfed the entire building. The fire service men are here, but indeed their efforts is really nothing to write home about. Some of the boys on the ground here were complaining to me earlier on that if they had responded on time, that just maybe the fire could have been curtailed. But taking a look at the scale and the magnitude of this fire right now, I do not see any miracle that will be happening here tonight to put out this fire. This is the scene here on Martin Street here.
What you're reporting, Israel. Quite unfortunate on Christmas Eve too. Thank you. Please stay safe, stay out of harm's way as you capture that report for us. We go now to Adewo for some entertainment update.
All right, now let's jump quickly right into entertainment. As Fuji icon King Wasiu Ayinde Marshal, popularly known as Kwam1, has withdrawn his court case challenging the succession process of the Awujale of Ijebuland. According to reports, the veteran musician formally discontinued the suit at the appropriate court, bringing an end to a legal action that had drawn public attention due to his royal lineage and influence within Ijebuland itself. While the reasons for the withdrawal were not extensively detailed in the court filings, the move is seen as a step toward the escalating tensions around the traditional leadership transition. Some stakeholders have welcomed the development as an opportunity for unity and stability in Ijebuland as the succession process continues without legal obstructions, by the way. Quite an interesting one, if I should say so myself. But that's all we have on entertainment tonight.
And that's our offering. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. It's carnival-like atmosphere across Nigeria as President Bola Tinubu calls Nigerians to unity at Christmas. Explosion rocks Maiduguri Mosque as worshippers scamper for safety during Maghrib prayers. Rescue efforts underway in Lagos Island as Greater Nigeria Insurance building is engulfed in flames. We also brought you news that leaders of the Alliance of Sahel States are meeting in Bamako as part of steps towards regional autonomy. Send us your eyewitness report. We'd like to see them. Use the number on your screen. You can follow us on all platforms as well at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching and have a safe Christmas Eve. Good night.